Sherm Chester with a special edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum. And, one of our founding fathers, that's right, that is our special guest today, the coach, Bill Taylor. Coach, this is our 150th podcast, so I consider this a benchmark or a landmark.
I would say it is. I mean, I can remember when we got our start.
I'll give people who are listeners to the podcast a little history of the Seacoast Sports Forum. We started, give or take, about 15 years ago at a local radio station here in our hometown, Exeter, New Hampshire, a station that had gone through several changes of ownership and programming, and a local group, two local guys bought it, and they decided they would keep a local angle to the station. So kudos to them for that. And then when they were looking for programming, I don't know how I came up with the idea, but it was on, I said, Sundays seems to be, and at the time, sports radio was big, and sports talk radio was really big in especially the Boston market. So I thought, we could do this. We'll talk regional sports, but more in particular, the local angle, because we got a lot of good teams here in just Seacoast, New Hampshire. So I pitched the idea to Steve Thomas, who was one of the owners. And I said, gee, if you could give me the 12 to 1 o'clock on Sunday, we could do like a 1 hour talk show. And I think we could make it fun and interesting and entertaining. And he said, I'm willing to give it a shot. And I was lucky enough to get the coach, Mr. Taylor, to come aboard with me. And we had special guests come aboard from time to time. I think we've had, Sam's been one of our guests, and Roger Brown's been on the show, and others over the years. So that's how it all gets started. About 15 years ago on what they call terrestrial radio, AM radio. And then, they went through a couple of changes of format, and we got kind of bumped out. So we kind of languished for a few years. And then our local TV station, cable access channel here in Exeter, they were looking for programming. And so I pitched the show as a video show with the manager of the station, Bob Glowacki, and he jumped on it, and he said, that sounds like a good premise as long as we keep it on a local level. And I said, we will, and we did. And we've had a lot of local coaches, local guests, again, people that have been part of the Bluehawk family, and that's the local team that we kind of bleed blue and support over the years. And then when podcasting started to take off, that's where we kind of branched out into this, where we can go weekly, and if something comes up, we can bring it right to the public's attention. And so I think we've done a pretty good job over the past 15 years, brother.
I think we have. A couple of shows I remember before we get going is we had the head coach at Mississippi State.
Yeah, Dan Mullen.
At the time, and Skip Swazinski was
right.
A guest interviewer. The thing I remember most was when you, Sam, and I would go, after the show was over, we'd go for Chinese food.
That's right. Dan Mullen was the guest you were referring to. Skip Swazinski brought him on board, and that was a great interview. We did that on the radio side of things years ago, and we've been fortunate. Things that have come up in the regional scene or in the local scene, we've been able to kind of capitalize on it. We've had big events happen over the years. Probably the biggest, most recently, probably the show that got the biggest viewing, that was the Bill Ball retirement episode, where he and I just sat down for about 30 minutes and just talked about his career as not only the AD of Exeter High School, but just all of his experience as a head coach here and a Hall of Fame football coach here in the state of New Hampshire. So we've had some great shows and great guests, and I appreciate all of them that have been part of the show over the past 15 years. It's hard to believe that it's been that long. And you and I have, we've become more wise, I think, over the years. We're wiser guys. I won't say older. We're just getting wiser. Well, we've always had, a regional bent to this show, and we'll start with that, and then I want to get into the local football scene, because we've got a football season that's about a month away. They'll be starting practice, if they haven't already, formal practices very soon, the teams, as we head into August. First off, your first love, I know, is NASCAR. We Haven't talked about that in a long time. So give me an encapsulated version of what's happened in NASCAR so far this season and where you stand with it.
I don't know if there's a favorite. I'm a big Roger Penske Ford fan, and the Penske drivers are the guys that I hope do well each week. It's funny, as the summer goes on, they seem to get, as we get closer to the playoffs in NASCAR, where they take the top 16 and then they have points, and then the point situation is a little convoluted for me to explain now, but the bottom three get eliminated after 3 weeks. No, the bottom four, excuse me. And then it becomes the top 12, and then it becomes the top 8. And then when they get to the final four, it's a one-race shootout, and whoever does best in that race wins. And lately, the Penske drivers, we get closer to that time frame, they get hot, and their teams get better and better, and their cars go faster and faster. And again, I would say I don't know who the favorites are. Joey Logano is the defending champion. He is going to be in the top 16. 2 years ago, it was Ryan Blaney, and he's going to be in the top 16. And the other driver is Austin Cindric, and he's going to be there too. There are a lot of cars that could be favorites. The big thing is this year is Loudon is actually going to host the first of the playoff races. So they're going to be later in the season. Normally they were in July, and boy, take my word for it, it was really hot in the stands. And we could get 90-degree weather in September. But as a whole, it tends to be a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of people have the conception that NASCAR is a bunch of guys and the fans are a bunch of people sitting in the stands getting drunk and passing out. And, that isn't the way it is. I'll tell you, it's a very family-friendly environment. Do they allow you to bring coolers in? Yes, they do. Do they allow you to bring coolers with alcohol in? Yes, they do. But a lot of people don't. And you see a lot of kids there. They try their best to make it a family-friendly environment. And I'll tell you, it is exciting to go to a race. It really is.
It is, and especially if you get a chance to go down in the pits pre-race and check out some of the cars and some of the favorites. I mean, it's restricted, obviously. You're not having full access, but you get a chance to go down there and just get the feel of being on that track. And that was the thing that threw me off. I've never been, in that close to the action, and we were checking out the cars that were in the race that day, and of course. You had your favorite that day, and I had mine. I think both guys are retired now, aren't they?
I think they are.
Yeah, I mean the new breed coming in. That was what I was going to ask you about NASCAR. The new race car drivers, the new breed, the new guns, whatever you want to call them. Any of those guys stand out to you? That hey, there's the next Jimmy Johnson coming.
NASCAR has road courses. They have a street race. They have. Ovals, they have, places like Daytona where it's a lot of drafting and pushing. And then you have flat tracks like Loudon, which is more difficult to drive. But I'll tell you, it's exciting to watch.
And it was something I had never realized that is the flat track, and that takes a different level of racing than the guys that have the big bank tracks like Daytona, which people don't understand if they have never seen it in person, that the incline on that raceway. I mean, you think you could walk up that, maybe if you had a, a mountain rope or something to haul you up there. I mean, that is a steep incline. So these
Yeah.
guys, it's not just racing around a circle. There's a lot of technique to it, and uh, I was just going to say the televised versions of the show are still available on Exeter TV. You did one of the best shows ever. You had Dave from the track, the general manager of the racetrack, and
Yeah.
you two. I wasn't able to be there that day, and you did a great job because you are really, when it comes to racing and NASCAR in particular, just an enthusiast, and he knew that, and there was the chemistry between the two of you guys. One of the best shows. So look for that one. The coach, and I think it's labeled New Hampshire Motor Speedway or words to that effect on our YouTube site. That's well worth the time to watch it because they're two guys that are really NASCAR guys talking. I would have been listening that day if I had been part of it. I would have been just, you guys had it, you guys were in sync. And thanks to Dave, the GM up there, and also to Shannon, who's in charge of all the behind the scenes stuff that goes on there from PR and all that. And they're great with us. And thank you.
The facilities, I mean, a lot of the places we have done shows, like Exeter High School and the coaches, they bend over backwards to help us, to be available, and to talk to us. New Hampshire Motor Speedway, we were able to set up an interview, and we were able to talk. That must have been for close to an hour.
I tell folks that want to know how to get into this business, and I know I sound like a broken record at times, but the secret to a good interview is know your topic, obviously, or do your homework so you know how to ask intelligent questions about the guest and or the topic, and listen to the answers, and then you can usually get something from the answer they're giving you to jump off or spring off of, and keep the interview flowing. That New Hampshire Motor Speedway interview that you did with Dave. That's spot on. I mean, that just, you guys, there were two guys clicking on all 8 cylinders that day. You were racing each other around that track. Hey, I want to do a quick go around with the New England sports, and then we'll go to the schoolboy football thing.
Yeah.
First off, your take on we've got past the mid-season point of baseball. The Red Sox are kind of teasing us. They have fits and starts. What's going to happen with the Red Sox?
Well, I think a couple of things. Number one, when they traded Devers to the Giants, and I understood why they did that. That made a lot of sense to me, even though he was making the most money and probably was their most productive hitter. However, what he wasn't was a team player. And I think the Red Sox have kind of bonded together as a team. And as you know, or because of talking to different coaches, when players bond together as a team and are looking to do what's best for the team and not what is best for them, good things happen. And I think they're a very likable team to me. Do I think they are buyers at the trade deadline? Yes. I think they need a 5th starter. I think they need some bullpen reinforcements. And if they could ever get an everyday first baseman, that would help. But they have bonded because of injuries to different people. And the trade of Devers, where everybody thought they were going to go in the tank, they didn't.
Yes,
and everybody was all up in arms. And what happened? They came together as a group.
Right. And I think, again, I've said this before, and I'll just do it lightly this time, is, again, Devers didn't want to be the face of the franchise. I think that's why they brought some of the kids up, Myers and Anthony, and they're hoping one of those, and obviously Duran's doing good things, Abreu. So they got some potential there for somebody to step up and be, and of course the old veterans, Bregman and Story. So you got a lot of mix there that if the chemistry isn't messed around too much with, Who knows?
To me, the key piece right now is Aroldis Chapman, because he's a legit closer. If you have the lead going into the ninth inning and you bring him in, chances are you are going to win the game.
Celtics, we knew they were going to have to retool because obviously the Tatum injury, they knew this season coming up is going to be fits and starts probably, and they let a couple of key players go, Holiday and Porzingis, and Derek White is he did something on his podcast the other day saying that he was sorry to see Holiday go, but he was a real team player, and obviously Porzingis when he was playing was effective, but unfortunately he was hurt a lot. So you see any hope? I this Gonzalez kid that they've got they picked up in the draft, their first round draft pick. I watched him playing in some of the rookie league games they had last month, and he looks pretty sharp. I mean, they might have got another Pritchard there.
Horford's gone. Porzingis is gone. Cornette is gone. I mean, Holiday.
Like I say, fits and starts. They'll probably have runs where they can beat teams that are, also Rands. But then we'll have to see where that goes. If they do make some moves during the season as well, they may be sellers or buyers. We'll see. The Patriots, they got a new head coach, Mike Vrabel, and they've got some weapons there for Drake May to throw to and to have behind him to run. I think their draft was fairly solid, but those draft picks take time. I think that the one I like the most is that guy they got for the offensive line, and he, as long as he stays healthy, I think Drake has a better chance of staying upright and being able to do something with that football this year. What about you?
Stephon Diggs right now seems to be eager to show everyone in the NFL that he's still a number one receiver in the league. One of the top receivers in the league, I should say. Plus Vrabel has given them a new identity and I think a sense of purpose. Defensively, they should be very good. Now, they're not deep. If they get hit by a ton of injuries, they're going to have issues. But as long as people remain healthy, I think they'll be okay. I think a 500 season is within reach, and they might have an outside shot at a wild card depending on how the season shakes out.
I'm not a betting man, but you know something? I would probably put, I don't know what the over-under is for wins this year, but at this point, as long as they don't have any major injuries and everything goes according to Vrabel, we're so used to everything going under Belichick for so many years, and then that kind of fell apart. And Vrabel's in the position of having to rebuild, reload, and start with a new mindset. I think they'll do all right this year. I really do. I think people are going to be expecting a 500 season. I don't think they're going to obviously go undefeated, but I think probably they'll be a couple of games above 500, and I think that'll be a success as far as I think Patriot Nation is concerned.
Listen, I think 7 wins would be a success as far as better than what they had.
The advantages this year, they have the second softest schedule. I guess San Francisco has the softest schedule, and then the Patriots have the number 2. And when they say soft, meaning, opponents that are either at 500 or just above 500. So they're not playing any real dominating teams this year. So
on any given Sunday.
Exactly. Now, speaking of Friday nights, that's where you get back into the booth here in a few weeks, and you'll be doing the play-by-play for the Exeter Bluehawks on Bluehawk Media, the TV version, and those games will be available on YouTube. And you've done your share of radio. Again, that goes back to our days with WXEX 15 years ago. Yeah, Steve Thomas putting you on the radio, making a star out of you.
I don't know about that.
Oh, you did. You did. You cut your chops on radio, and I'll tell you, friend, that's where it matters because you don't have the visuals. You have to tell people what's going on, and that's a real art form. And I'll say that to my dying day. We had Nick Anastas on a few weeks ago, And there's a guy who can go from sport to sport to sport, and he's done radio and TV, and that's a transition as well. So you'll be in the booth this year. Rich Kane going to be rejoining you this year?
Yeah.
The Chief. And you guys are going to be starting your season off on the 5th of September against the Timberlane Owls. That's the home game in Exeter. And
Right.
then you follow that up with 2 road games. We'll see. There's a potential this year, and we were talking about this off air. There's a potential maybe some of the games on the road will be on TV this year, but that's to be determined yet. So, but the two games that follow the home game, the home opener, will be on the road. Portsmouth Oyster River Clipper Cats on the 12th, and on the 19th, the Londonderry Lancers. That'll be a barn burner. That probably will set the tone for the rest of the season for the Bluehawks, because Londonderry, Jimmy Lozone, he puts out a team on the field, and it'll be a good early eye opener for both teams, And then they follow up coming back home for some home cooking and the homecoming game on the 27th. That's the Winnicott Warriors. Then on the 3rd of October, they travel to Bedford to take on the Bulldogs, another tough team that's again, it's a test. And then we come back home, play a local rival that we have usually a tough time with, the Dover Green Wave. That's on the 10th of October. And then on the 17th, they host the Spalding Red Raiders. And then the Bluehawks have I want to call it an exhibition game, but it's a off-schedule game with the Portland Bulldogs. And that's going to be at William Ball Stadium this year. Now, you were there with Rich Kane last year doing the play-by-play on that game, and that was a barn burner.
That was one of the best high school football games I have seen in a long, long time. Going back really to the Exeter win for the state championship over Pinkerton, which I know you were present at both of them. You were there. We were on radio for that game at Derry, and you were there. And you were there when you went with us up to Portland. Exactly. And that was a heck of a game. It was 2 really good football teams playing a tough, hard-nosed football. And, Portland, for people who didn't follow what happened, we beat Portland. Portland ended up winning every game but that one, and we're state of Maine champions.
It just proves that was an excellent tune-up. And then from that game this year, which will be on the 24th, then on the 31st, the Bluehawks end their season on the road against Manchester Memorial, the Crusaders. You got a good season coming up, brother. You do.
We do, and I look forward to it every year. I've said to myself, and I've told my wife, I said, as long as I can climb those bleachers and they want me back, I'll be there.
Hey, it's getting tougher to climb those bleachers. You're looking.
It is.
Hey, like I said earlier, we're not getting older; we're getting wiser.
Yeah.
We take our time getting up there, and all safety rails. Well, friend, I was going to ask you. You've been doing the broadcasting for, like I said, about 15 years now, between the radio and the TV side of things. Do you prefer one over the other? And are there any secrets you have when you get into the booth?
Well, I enjoyed doing the radio because for 2 reasons, especially starting the second year I did it. We went home and away. And so, and having done, all the sports that you've done, you feel a part of the team. Even though you're not there on a day-to-day basis, you felt a part of the team because you were there every Saturday or every Friday night. And plus, I really enjoyed doing the radio with the people I did it with, So, especially my son. And I thought we were a very good team.
You were.
And, yeah. I mean, I can remember the time we went and they asked us to do a game, a non-Exeter game. Remember that?
Yes,
and you were with me. You were the color guy.
Exactly.
We went to Holman Stadium and did that game. And, I bleed Blue Hawk blue. I'm not good at the other because I don't have that connection to the other teams. You know what I mean?
That's why we got guys like Roger Brown and Jay Pincinel out doing their thing, checking out all these teams, and I trust them and their opinions on what we're in store for or who's going to be doing what
Right.
in the divisions, because you really do have to take it on a week to week basis. And you said it earlier, uh, everybody has a team that could probably go all the way, but it doesn't. Mother Nature can play tricks on us, and also health issues. Somebody gets hurt, and it
Right.
changes the whole perspective of a season for a team. So
We've been very lucky that Coach Ball was so open to go over different keys to look for with the opponents. So we've been very fortunate both in both booths, radio and TV.
And one thing I will say about Bill Ball and all the good coaches that I've had the privilege of dealing with is that you can tell a good coach when they always find positive things to say, even in defeat. It's not like blaming a player for a loss of a game or the team as a whole for failing or not doing their jobs or whatever. I mean, when they get to the pros, I understand some of the coaches get mad at the pro players because they're getting paid big money and they're supposed to deliver. But high school kids in particular and college, and we'll be talking probably in a week or two, I hope, to Mike Murphy and to get a lowdown on what's happening with the Wildcats. They're in a rebuilding season this year, and Rick Santos is going to have his work cut out for him this year. But, as long as you go in with a positive spin and don't start fingering people and saying, hey, he or she or they are responsible for our loss. And I've seen coaches do that. Luckily, none of ours, but I read it in the paper once in a while. I'm saying, like, why is this guy coaching? It's wrong. You don't do that to a kid, or again, a pro player. Maybe you can get away with it because they're getting paid to play. These kids are doing it out of the love of the game and their love of the sport. And anyway. Hey, 2-minute drill time. Anything you want us to run on the table for our 150th?
Well, okay, what I would, for 2-minute drill, and it kind of goes with what I'm wishing good health to all athletes, the New Hampshire athletes, during the course of their seasons. And whether they're on the team I'm rooting for, which is Exeter or not, everyone, they put in a preseason. They put in all the practice time. They're out there sweating, and days like today, they work hard, and they deserve good health during their season. So that would be my 2-minute drill.
Good way to express that. So as we wrap up our special 150th edition of the Seacoast Sports Forum, I want to take my 2-minute drill to just take a couple of seconds and feature an interview I did with my grandson, John Mark Chester, who was out in Ohio a couple of months ago visiting with the family, and got a chance to sit down on the front porch with him and talk sports. He's a 3-sport player, and I asked him the question, which sport does he like best?
Which one do I prefer to play more?
Yeah.
Football.
Football.
I'm more of I want to be more hard hitting, and basketball is about agility and moving, and you have to have let's say in basketball, you have to run up and down the court, which is really tiring. And for football, it's every single play you get let's say a break, and then harder hitting, and it's just it's a fun experience to play tackle football. And let's say my dad, he just says I should do sports around the year because so say for baseball, if I was going to be a quarterback, throwing a baseball helps you get the good mechanics for being a quarterback. Let's say for instance Tom Brady, he played baseball, and Bo Jackson, he played baseball too, and he was really good. Different sports can help you with one sport. That's why I play 3 sports in 1 year.
Thank you for letting me indulge myself in an interview with my grandson, John Mark Chester, out there in Ohio. Hey, John, keep up the hard work. No matter what sport it is you want to excel at, just give it all you got. And you got a great team in state that you can try to play for someday, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Good luck to you, kiddo. Grampy's rooting for you. Now, on behalf of Coach Bill Taylor and all the folks that have been with us over the past 150 episodes, Thank you. And if you're enjoying yourself, please pass the word. We're on all the major podcast platforms. So until next time, this is Sherm Chester inviting you to join us for the next edition, number 151 of the Seacoast Sports Forum podcast.